Hi, it's Keith, and this is Attack from Down Under. Today, I'm going to be doing another video, and I'm going to be doing albums that are sort of under the radar by big bands. That this isn't their most popular release, but just things that are worth talking about and are good albums. So today, I have a special guest to help me all the way from America, and that is Kevin from Sonic Boom TV. How are you, my
Hello,
friend?
everybody. Good. Hope everybody's doing well out there.
Yeah, cheers, mate. So we'll jump right in. We're doing two albums. The first one is a Queensryche album, and the second one we're going to be doing a bit of Ozzy and talking about Black Rain, and we're going to do our favorite tracks, our favorite track from those albums, and maybe our least favorite. And then right at the end, we'll do a bit of comparison between the two albums, which one we like best out of the two. So, Kevin, do you want to start us off with we're talking about Queensryche's album from 2022, Digital Noise Alliance, and do your favorite? Oh, that's
I got
nice.
this
Yeah,
one on vinyl. um,
vinyl. Yeah.
yeah. So Queensryche at one point was back in the '80s was one of my top favorite bands. And there wasn't much that I thought would be better, could ever be better than them. And for the first five or six albums, that stayed true, and then they kind of started to switch, and they got, I guess, more progressive. Is that maybe the
Yeah, I
the
think you're
way?
right. Hmm.
Yeah. And so, and I even heard someone compare them to like Pink Floyd and kind of stuff like that, and I was like, I don't get that reference, but I didn't think they were, you know, what they once were. So when I saw this, I got it really cheap, as I told you before. I got this for $12 in America, which is amazing to get any kind of record for that. Um, but I said I wanted to try it to see, because what they were doing, because I hadn't gotten anything in the last couple albums. Um, and when I got it, it sounded more along the lines of the original stuff, but the singer, Todd Latour, is that how you say his name? Todd
Todd Latour.
Latour.
Yeah, that's it.
I think he's a clone of Jeff Tate, and he's
Mm.
not as good as Jeff Tate. So it's like, I like this album, but it didn't go far enough for me, I think. So I listened to it several times this week. I had listened to it before, but and I kind of graded the songs. And so for my best song on the thing, it is track 4, "Sick Death." Is that how I guess that's how we say
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
That song really reminds me of old school uh Queensryche. Like probably like uh Rage for Order era Queensryche. I really like that song, and I think that's the best song on the album, with an asterisk next to it, because the very last song they do a cover of Rebel Yell, and when I heard that, I was like, why are they doing this? Because I
Yeah.
didn't think Queensryche had ever done any kind of covers, but apparently they have a covers album that's one that I don't have at all on MP3 or anything. But Rebel Yell, it just was such a surprise. And then he
Mm.
tried to clone the sound of Billy Idol when he did it. So
Yeah,
it was like, this guy, he's just a master of voices or something.
they can do
But
it all. Yeah.
right. So I mean, but it's a good album. It's got a couple songs I thought were kind of bad, but overall it's like a good album that could have been back then, when in the '80s, early '90s kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It does sort of, if you haven't listened to any new Queensryche albums since the 1990s, this sounds like, I would say, this sort of era here,
Yeah.
uh, Empire era, like very clean sounding and very sort of polished. and I think that was a deliberate thing they did. One of the guitarist, what's his name, Michael Wilton. Yeah, he even pulled out one of his old amps that he used during this time, to sound more like that sort of era Queensryche, because they've gone, like you're saying, they've gone really progressive and probably lost a few people along the way. But if you like that's the sort of sound from this era, I suggest you give this one a go.
Yeah. Well, the only other thing I think is on Empire, those songs were a little bit more radio friendly kind of songs, where there was a lot that you would hear on the radio. I don't think this one would have so many radio hits now. Like if this was released back then, I don't know if it would have as many hits. I could be wrong, but I think it, like I said, it does compare to the older stuff. I just felt more of Rage for Order than Empire, but it's all good.
I'm with you. I go back to the old stuff, but they haven't had Jeff Tate in there since 2012, and I think this is like their fourth album with Todd LaTorre, and
it's got to be at least.
I like him. Yeah, I like him a lot. And
he's good. I would just like to hear him sing something that wasn't trying to sound like Queensryche, let him sing with it was regular, whatever his voice is. I want to hear that and see what he does, because he does do a good job.
Well, he did put out a I don't know if he put out a solo album in 2021.
Oh, really?
It's Rejoice in the Suffering. Really good album. Then he doesn't do that operatic as much, that operatic one like from Queensryche. It's more like Rebel Yell, Rebel Yell stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a surprise to me at the end with that song. I'm a Billy Idol fan, so it works. It works for me. And he stuck. You're right. He stuck to the same sort of track, a way that Billy Idol does it. But anyway, I'm going off track. I'll have to talk about my favorite on this album. So going through the tracks, Forest is like quite a nice mellow slow song, and sounds like this band to me sounds like I've talked about the old stuff. My favorite song on the album is Behind the Walls. That was like a highlight for me, and Todd uses like all of his sort of high range vocals on that, and power. He really puts power in, and there's a great build up for that song. It's the one that goes, "Did you ever love me? Did I ever love you?" Also that sounds awesome, and with all and that particular track. Lost in Sorrow is a track that I think could easily been on here. So yeah, that's my my favorite on here. So would you like to talk about what you sort of your least favorite there, Kevin?
Well, my least favorite was one of your favorites, the Forest song. It was slow, and it kind of took me out of it for that little bit as I was listening, because I listened to it probably like 5 or 6 times in this last couple days, and that song always would just kind of like bring me down a little bit. Not that it was a bad song, because I don't think any of the songs are bad, but as far as if I was ranking them or something, that one was the worst for me. But again, like I said, there's nothing on it that I hated. It's a good album.
Just didn't do anything for you, really.
Yeah, it didn't have the right energy, I guess, for me at that point. Maybe if it was at the end or something, that would have been different. But then we wouldn't have Rebel Yell at the end.
You got to keep Rebel Yell. Yeah. It's quite a long album. I mean, if you cut off those last 2 tracks, like I'm saying, don't cut off, because I like the last 2 tracks, but it would definitely make it easier to listen to.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, so my talking about my least favorite song would have to be Chapters, which is the second song. When I'm listening to that, I'm waiting for I know what's coming. I know what I like on this album, and I'm waiting for that, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got to listen to maybe. I don't like that Chapters, which is the second song, as much as what's coming. It doesn't stand out as much to me as some of there's some cracking rocking songs on this album, and like I was just saying, a little bit long the album. I would probably cut a couple of things out if it was me, but and maybe do a bonus edition or something for the mad Queensryche fans that want it to make the album a bit more tight.
Right. I didn't write down the time on it, but I think it's a little bit more than an hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to look that up,
but I just got to talk. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I was okay. I thought somebody was trying to call me, and I was trying to turn my phone off.
Yeah. But I've got to talk about Rebel Yell. It'd be more interesting for me if Todd sings in a different register in for Rebel Yell. I would have liked to maybe, like you're saying, you want one. Listen to albums where he sings just a straight out rock vocals. I think you could have thrown in another song in there, just in that sort of just normal rock range that he does for Rebel Yell. But I think it's a good interpretation, and I do like that song. So there you go.
Okay.
And just to finally end off this album, that you've got a great picture there of the LP, and it's got there it's got quite a cool. I don't know, is that a DNA helix type picture there?
Yeah.
It's sort of similar artwork to that they've got the Queensryche.
Well, they've used this on most of their albums. This symbol. People call it the Tri-Reich. I don't know why it's Tri-Reich, but that's been on most of the albums in some place. It started on Rage for Order, I believe, is where, because I know the first, and then they just they did it a bunch of times. I know the here in the Now, which is one that I didn't like and I don't own. That one I don't think has it. It has a bunch of pictures of ears or something on it. But I think most of the others have it, because all the ones I got here have it. Oh, I just lost something. Yeah.
So in your LP copy, your bonus track is just Rebel Yell, the same as my CD here.
Yeah, all I have is Rebel Yell. Do you have an extra song?
No, that's it. Because sometimes there's other editions with different things.
Right. Usually it's the Japanese editions that have extra songs. I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's always been that way as far as I can remember. That if it would always say, Japanese bonus tracks, and there'd be 2 or 3 extra songs on almost any album anybody put out, for some reason. And you would never be able to get those back in the old days. I mean, now you can pretty much get anything you want. But when I was younger, I would always wonder what those songs were, because they might have been good. Sorry, I dropped the CD. But I never did find out, what anybody was putting out in Japan.
Yeah. If you're a major fan, you've got to have those, but to order it from Japan, it's like whatever.
Right. But if I ever go to Japan, I'm going to be in trouble, because I'm going to buy everything. I'm like, mine doesn't have those 3 songs.
Yeah, you go crazy over there.
Yeah,
it's one of the largest music buying countries in the world. I didn't know that. They're just huge.
They're wild over there for music, man. If you get to go there, you're gonna get popular there. You're gonna stay with them, because, like you said, they buy a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway,
all right. Should we get into the next one, Kevin?
yes.
Okay. Next one. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Ozzy's Black Rain cover. There we go.
I do not own a physical copy of this one.
That's
just
yeah.
Just
10th
MP3.
album came out in 2007. So on his sort of more recent albums, his vocals are made better in the studio. So he's a lot younger on this album than he is now. So
Right.
I think there's some of that in there, but his voice is still pretty strong. So do you want to do your favorite?
Yeah, I gotta get the track listing because I didn't write them down. But hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No. Okay. So, as I told you, Ozzy's voice is always Ozzy's voice. You no matter what era that he's in, he always sounds the same to me. So, it's like if somebody just put on a random song, you could pick his voice out and know that it's Ozzy Osbourne. There's no mistaking him for anybody else. And the weird thing is nobody's tried to imitate him. I don't think. I mean, it's to sound like him. He just has a unique voice, and he's old now, but that last album still sounded like he was on it. I really like this album. There's only one song that I thought, I'm not too sure about this one. All the songs were like 8, 9, 10, that I was ranking them or whatever. Except for, well, I should do the one I like the best first. The ones I like the best are the two ballads that he did. Lay Your World on Me and Here for You. And they reminded me so much of that the songs he did in the late 80s on this album, if you can see it.
Yeah,
No More Tears. They reminded me of those, and I think if those would have been released back then, they would have been huge. Because they just had that kind of perfect, enough for pop radio, but still in the heavy metal vein kind of thing, going on. And those are my two. Like those two are equally as good to me. But that being said, the first two songs. Wait. I'm gotta say the names. Not Going Away. I Don't Want to Stop. And then Countdown's Begun are very close to that, and they're the heavy songs.
Yeah.
So it's like I really like this album. I gotta buy it at this point. I have so much of his stuff, but it's all on MP3s. I have one CD. Well, I have two CDs, but I can't find one of them. I have one CD and one record, and then everything else is just MP3s. Yeah. So it's a really good album. It should be more known, I think, than it is.
I think it's just been re-released actually on vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think you can pick it up pretty easy. So it was a bit of a surprise for you how much you liked it. You thought,
because
it might
it surprised me because I'm usually for Ozzy and Black Sabbath together. I usually it's the hit songs for me, and then I don't really get into it too much. But I really was listening to this one because I was listening to both albums back to back all week, and I would prefer this one over Queensryche for sure. Oh,
spoilers!
Did I ruin
it? Spoilers!
Oops, I'm sorry. Can we edit this?
That's all right. Edit. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never done this before.
But one question I wanted to ask you. I was looking on YouTube for a video for that album. You know, if they did any videos, and I couldn't find any. Have you ever seen a video for that album over there in America?
No, I haven't. But I didn't look really.
No.
Just listening to the MP3s over and over, you know, and I never
Mm.
thought about looking up the videos for either one of these albums.
Mm. Because like you look at that cover and there's Ozzy there, and
Right.
it looks he's like in no man's land, and there's black rain coming down. He's covered in that. Can you imagine if like one of those ballads that you're talking about, they did a video and he's seeing the ballad and all the black rain's coming down on him and covering him? It
Right.
would have been perfect. You know,
Yeah.
that would have been awesome. And in the fires in the background, and maybe like World War I soldiers walking by. You know, I could do the video myself. You know, I've got so
There
many
you
ideas
go.
for it. Yeah, it's very
Well,
visual. That cover is
well,
very
he's not doing much these days. Maybe you can call him and see what happens.
I because like
Uh,
the last album we talked about, the Queensryche one, there's videos for everything. Even that bonus track, Rebel Yell, which is a bonus
yeah.
track. There's a video for
Yeah.
that. And you got
Really.
a high profile guy like this here, and I could not find a single video
Well,
for it.
what
So.
what record label is that on?
Ozzy
Is it
is on
a major or
yeah,
somebody small?
Sony BMG.
So yeah, so they would have had the budget if they wanted to do it.
Hmm. But yeah,
I don't know.
that just occurred to me. You know,
Yeah.
would have made a great video. So okay, I'll do my fave track. So I enjoy listening to the start of this, and the first two tracks, Not Going Away and I Don't Want to Stop. You know, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, they're a lot of fun to listen to. Ozzy lets his hair down a bit. They're just like a couple of party sing-along songs, and they got strong choruses, and you know, they're a lot of fun. But then Black Rain comes in, and it's got quite a bleak sort of message with that. And so it's sort of a bit of a downer, and there's quite a few songs on here that are a bit darker. But I'm glad at the beginning they started off with something a bit more cheerful before you get into the whole album. But my favorite song on the album is one that sounds very similar to Black Rain I just mentioned, and it's Countdown's Begun.
Yeah.
And Countdown's Begun just has that heavy riff from Zakk Wylde, a bit fuzzy sounding the guitar. I really like the song, and it's a song about end of the world countdown type thing, which I tend to like those type of songs. Excuse me. And it's just like a good way to end the album. There's four really good rockers on this album, but that one's my favorite. And
Yeah.
right at the end, and then it's got Trapdoor, which I think is great as well. So
Well, on Trapdoor, I thought his vocals were kind of weird. Like he did two different things, and one was his kind of normal thing, but then he changed it to something else, and I was just like, it kept making me like, why is he doing that? You know, and then, but it's still, I like the song. I mean, there's only one song that I didn't really like, but it was still a pretty high grade for a song that I don't really like that much.
Yes. So yeah, that just like you said, is he does, they do mess around with his vocals a bit, and I think they're trying to sound some of the songs just for throw in a bit of variety. They might change up his vocals a bit. On one of his recent albums, he does like a bluesy sort of old, I can't remember the name of the song, but a very bluesy sounding one. Sounds like really old blues.
Right.
But yeah, that's my favorite on that one. And you want to do your not so much there, Kevin?
My last one, and it was the Almighty Dollar. It was my least favorite one. That song is almost 7 minutes long, and it just it was too long. I think that's what really, and I still gave it like a 5 out of 10. But it just, I think the length of it just made me lose interest in it. Almost every song on here is 5 minutes or less. And then that one's like 7 minutes, and it's just a little bit too much. It wasn't. It was a heavy song, I guess, but it was just too long.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, like sometimes the ideas run out. They've got a strong chorus, and you maybe throw in a guitar solo, the shorter, cut down the guitar solo a bit.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
I mean, Zach Wilde's got to shine, right?
Yeah, he's got to have his moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got some songwriting credits on this as well, and
I mean,
producer's got some songwriting credits on it as well.
Yeah, Ozzy just needs to sing. That's all. He doesn't need to write the songs.
Yeah, it does.
But no, Zach Wilde. I mean, that's been a pretty good gig for him. He's been there a long time.
Yes, he's done well with that.
Has he been on everything since Randy Rhoads died?
He's got a pretty much the ones I've got. Yeah, he's on that one you showed. Yeah. No More Tears. No Rest for the Wicked.
Unless
he's
done a lot.
So they and with the songwriting, he comes up with the occasional good song as well. So, yep.
I was going to say what I was surprised was that Mike Borden was the drummer, and he was Faith No More drummer. I didn't know he was. Right? Yeah, I didn't know he was with Ozzy. So I mean, he could have been there for a long time. I just didn't know it. But when I was looking at it, I saw that name. I was like, wait a minute, that name sounds like somebody I know.
Yeah, you sometimes just see the name and you think, now where do I know them from? And then you've got to. Mr. Google helps you there.
When I was younger, man, I knew everybody's name that was in bands, and now I just like, well, maybe I know one person.
I know. Can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, type thing.
Right.
Yeah. So my least, somewhere around the halfway mark for this album, for me, there's a bit of a drop, in my opinion. The song 11 Silver picks things up for me. That's like one of the rockers improves things for me that I like. But then I think the songs sort of go into what I would call pop rock type thing. Civilize the Universe just falls a bit flat. And this is where, like, when I did a show with Dan, he didn't like the ones that I liked. I liked the ones he didn't like.
Right. Well,
similar thing here.
That's another one. Now I forgot which one you said.
I've got to Civilize the Universe is one, but the ballad Here for You, I don't like that. It's my least favorite song on the album. It's very pop and sort of a bit sappy.
Right. Well, that's what I said. But okay. So when I wrote for the two ballads, I said would have been huge in '87.
Yeah,
because they would have. But this one, Civilized Universe, I put definitely a single because that would have also probably been on the radio a lot if it came out in the '80s because it had that pop rock kind of feel to it. So why not?
It was popular at the time.
Yeah.
So I just for me, like, there's energy building. Like, you've got those, like I said, the two out of the gate pop, party songs. Good choruses, the energy building,
right.
And then when I'm listening to it, and then all that energy that they're building up just seems to get sucked out before we get to the end, where there's some more with the ballad and with that Civilized Universe for me, and then right at the end, the energy comes back. So sort of thing. But there are some. I don't know if you've got this in your MP3, but there are actually a few on bonus tracks that I didn't hear. I haven't heard, but there's a tour edition out that's got like 3 bonus tracks as well.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia thing, and it says tour edition has 6 tracks on it.
6 tracks. Okay, 3 live. 3 might be live. Yeah,
because it has Japanese the Japanese bonus tracks plus four other tracks. One of them was an iTunes pre-order bonus track. It says.
Mm.
So there's three live songs, two Japanese bonus tracks, and the iTunes song. So, but I don't have that. No, when I usually get my MP3s now, the library here will let you download 10 songs a week for free. Well, it's two different libraries. One lets you do 7, one lets you do 3. And so I just go in there and see what they have and get basically a free album on MP3 every week. Because most of them are 10 songs, but there's some that are longer. But that's where I got almost all the Ozzy ones that I have is from doing that. So
I wonder if.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wonder if the new re-release of Black Rain's got those bonus tracks on it. If you're thinking about buying it,
I don't know. If it's a 2-disc set, it might.
It might have it on it. Yeah.
Because sometimes when I get the MP3s from the library, they do have bonus tracks on them, and sometimes they don't. It just I don't know who buys these things for the library, but they have random things like if you like a lot of bands, like heavy metal bands, they'll have everything that they put out on smaller labels, but their major label stuff won't be there. and then you find bands that like these modern things, and all their major label stuff will be there. So I don't know who's blocking that, but because Dan and I have been talking about House of Lords, and they had a ton of their stuff, but they didn't have the first I think 2 or 3 albums, which were all on major label.
Yeah, it's weird the way they work that. Yeah, who makes these decisions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think we'll talk about cat's out of the bag. Your favorite out of the two?
Oh, my favorite album out of the two, that would have to be the Ozzy album.
Oh, surprise. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just thought it was a more complete album for me. And I there's no everything was high grade for me except for that one song. Everything was up there. It definitely would be something I would buy if I would have heard it back then. I definitely would have gotten it. But I've had the MP3s for maybe a year or so, and I've listened to it a couple times before, but I really listened to it this week, and definitely a good album. And not to say the Queensryche is bad, because it's not. But if I had to pick, I would pick the Ozzy album.
Okay. Well, as for a lot of my guests, we've got differing views, and that's what makes this sort of fun. Differing views about the tracks, different views about these albums I'm showing. I would not call the Ozzy album a Ozzy classic, but
no,
as an album, I don't think people should skip it, because there's a lot of people that sort of skip this one and saying it's like not essential. But it's really, I think it's worth listening to, and there's a lot of fun stuff on there that I do like, and I have enjoyed listening to it. The more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. And when you're starting to enjoy an album, you can forgive all the duds in the track listings, and sort of thing. But and he recorded that album with his touring band, I believe. I think that might have something to do with maybe there's no videos. They just rushed in and thought, well, we've got the whole band together. We're paying them to do the tour. What Sharon's like. We'll get them in the studio. We'll rush off a quick album or something like that. I much prefer the Queensryche album after listening to it. I had listened to it a while, and when it came out, I bought it and liked it, and then sort of shelved it. But listening to it now, I just found it. You're talking about vocalists. I really like Todd LaTorre's operatic sort of vocals. He's a bit Jeff Tate, and he's a bit Bruce Dickinson, and he's just an incredible vocalist. And like I was saying, I like how it sort of sounds like these older Queensryche albums, which I played to death at the time. Absolutely loved them.
Oh yeah,
at the time, there was nothing sounding like that at the time. And I've listened to some of Todd LaTorre with Queensryche, other albums, just on a CDR. I think it's Conditioned Human, and he's done a few, and the sort of coming out of the massive prog phase, and they're coming into sounding more like the classic stuff. And look, that's what I love. So, I out of the two, definitely I'd have to say that's my favorite. And just, if you haven't listened to Queensryche in a long time, give this one, Digital Noise Alliance, give that a try. You might find that you're back on the train with those guys.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't
I agree with that for sure. It's definitely back to the reminiscent of the old Queensryche, I think, for sure.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they put out another album soon, and I'd be looking forward to that one for sure there. So just to finish, have you got anything else you'd like to say about these albums, Kevin?
No, not about these two. I think we're good. Okay,
then. All right. I'd like to thank you for coming on my show today and helping me talk about these under the radar albums. Check out Kevin's channel, Sonic Boom TV. Great channel. And we'll see you in the next video, which I don't know what it would be, but it'll be something interesting. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.